Last week, I broke down the top 40 prospects at the wide receiver position for the Green Bay Packers in the upcoming 2025 NFL Draft and compared all their metrics in terms of height, weight, athleticism, things that the Packers typically look for at outside wide receivers, and compiled a final list of wide receivers that are Packers fits for this upcoming draft. And I asked you guys, what position should I do this with next? And the majority answer was do this with the edge position, as the Green Bay Packers have a needed edge. It's one of their biggest needs on this team. They didn't address it in free agency. They need an edge rusher opposite Rashawn Gary. Now, if Lucas Van Ness or Brenton Cox Jr. or JJ Enagbare steps up, that's great, but the Packers still need to add talent to that room. In general, they need to add talent to that front four, because last year the Packers sent four a lot of the time, and when those four didn't get home, the other team's offense had all day to throw and picked apart the back end of the Packers defense. So I went over the top 40 edge prospects in the upcoming draft and ran them through a filter, a Packers threshold filter, to show you guys which ones are applicable for the Packers to draft next month. Now, whether or not you agree with the Packers having these particular thresholds at certain positions like wide receiver, offensive line, edge, it's the truth. Brian Gutekunst has certain thresholds, and you can see the trend when you look at the players drafted by Gutekunst and the certain things that he likes from those prospects. If this sort of thing does interest you, or anything else Green Bay Packers or draft content for that matter, I'd highly suggest going down and clicking the subscribe button to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers this offseason. Also, a quick reminder and a big shout out to BetUS TV for sponsoring this video. If you guys want more sports content, go check out BetUS TV on YouTube. I linked it down in the description below. With March Madness completely underway, if you want more sports content, definitely check them out over on YouTube. And they also have a page over there on X. Again, big shout out to BetUS TV. Definitely go check it out. All right, so now let's dive into the video. I'm going to bring up the screen and first show you, just like the wide receiver video, all the edge players drafted by Brian Gutekunst and what these particular thresholds are that Gutekunst likes when he considers edge players in the draft. So bring up the screen. We can see the chart here. We have player name, height and weight, of course, RAS. We also have vertical, shuttle, and arm length. I found these to be pretty important for the Green Bay Packers, especially RAS, as it is with many other positions for the Green Bay Packers. More importantly, I think arm length is a huge thing for the Packers, and height and weight for their edge players, because all players are over a certain threshold here. So Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary, JJ Enagbare, John Garvin, and Kendall Donnerson. Those are the 5 edge players that Brian Gutekunst has drafted since becoming Packers GM back in 2018. Now, Lucas Van Ness, 6'5", 272, a 9.39 RAS, 31-inch vertical, 4.32 shuttle, 34-inch arm length. Rashawn Gary, 6'4", 277, 9.95 RAS, 38-inch vertical, 4.29 shuttle, 34.1-inch arms. JJ Enagbare, 6'4", 258, 8.98 RAS, 36.5-inch vertical, 4.54 shuttle, and 34.75-inch arms. John Garvin is kind of the outlier here, 6'4", 263, a lower RAS, 6.24, but he does have a high vertical, 36 inches, and long arms at 34 inches, which is the constant here. Then we have Kendall Donnerson, 6'4", 250, the lightest one out of the bunch, but was a later round pick, but an athlete, 9.39 RAS, 40-inch vertical, and a 4.37 shuttle. For some reason, his arm length wasn't listed, but I'd be willing to bet it was above 34 inches. So when you look at all these metrics and you tie them all together, a trend for edge rushers drafted by Brian Gutekunst is as follows. The edge players are always 6'4" or greater, always 250 pounds or greater. And if you remove an outlier in Kendall Donnerson, that moves up to around 258 pounds. But we're going to list it as 250 just to kind of broaden this threshold a tiny bit. Now, they always have 34-inch arms. And I think this is very, very important because, even if a player is slightly shorter, I think if they have 34-inch arms, they'll be on the Packers board. For some reason, I think Brian Gutekunst really, really likes edge players with 34-inch arms. due to the wide wingspan, the long reach, right? Hand usage, arm usage, all that is very important when rushing the passer. 9.0 RAS, I have that, about that or greater, right? There's an outlier in John Garvin there. So if it's slightly lower, say in the 7s or 8s, but they meet every other threshold, right? They could still be on the Packers board. But generally speaking, they like 9.0 RAS around that. They like around a 36-inch vertical. Now, again, there's an outlier here with Lucas Van Ness. He had a 31-inch vertical. So he was a tremendous athlete, just didn't have a great vertical. So, when one thing maybe isn't there, that doesn't remove them off the Packers board. It's more so when none of them match, or they're shorter, lighter, not an athlete, and don't have 34-inch arms, then you can kind of remove them off the board, which I'll showcase here. And then a 4.35 shuttle. They like good explosion and good agility from their edges, and that includes shuttle, a 4.35 shuttle, where we can see the only outlier here is JJ Enagbare. But again, every other metric, he was fine. So if you notice with the outliers, it's only one thing, right? It's John Garvin's RAS, Lucas Van Ness's vertical, or JJ Enagbare's shuttle. But everything else in that player's, threshold is A-okay. All right, so now let's flip over to the top 40 edge prospects, and the chart is going to look very, very similar to last week's with minor adjustments. So we have the name, the school, height and weight, age, RAS, arm length, vertical, shuttle. Do they fit the Packers threshold, their projected round? And I added a new column if they met with Green Bay. So if there's a check mark, that means they've met with Green Bay in this draft process. If there's a number 30 next to it, that means they're a part of their top 30 visits. Now, one thing about visits is it doesn't mean that the Packers are 100% interested in that player. A lot of time it can be smoke to show that the Packers have interest in this player at pick 23 to garner more trade ups with them for that said player. A lot of the players drafted by the Packers weren't even top 30 visits in terms of early draft picks. So it doesn't mean 100% that a player that had a top 30 visit is on the Packers board, especially if they don't meet any thresholds. All right, so let's get this thing rolling. I left out Abdul Carter at edge just because I don't see there's really any way the Packers end up with the chance to draft Abdul Carter, whereas everyone else from Mike Green down has a chance, right? Like the Packers could trade up and get Mike Green or Shamar Stewart or someone of that sort. That definitely could happen. Where Abdul Carter, I would be shocked. I would eat my hat if the Packers somehow got up to pick number 2 to get Abdul Carter or something like that. So first, let's go over the non-threshold fits. And I know some of these players you may love, and you may be going, wow, I really want them in Green Bay, but I'm going to explain to you why I just don't really see it. And the first is Mike Green. Now he's 6'3", 251. So he's really, really close there. And one thing that's kind of cloudy here for some of these players, because every year it seems like less and less players test at the combine. So we have less and less data to go by. But Mike Green doesn't have an RAS. All we have is arm length and height and weight. And by those metrics, he's not a Packers threshold fit. Now, if he had a 9.85 RAS with a great vertical and a great shuttle, again, that arms would be just an outlier. But then when you look at the Packers drafted edges from Gutekunst, every single one has 34-inch arms. So I'm trying to be a little bit strict with the arm length here because that has been the constant for edge players drafted by Gutekunst. So I have him as a no for a Packers threshold fit. I know Mike Green's a good player, and I think he will be a good player at the NFL level, but I have him as a no here. Then we have Jalen Walker. Now, I have him as a no, but this is an interesting one because if the Packers want to utilize a player like him, like Edgerrin Cooper, then he's probably on their draft board. But if they view him as a pure edge player, which I think that's what they're looking for, he's not on their thresholds because he's very short at 6'1", he's underweight at 243, and he has 32-inch arms. Now, I think Jalen Walker is going to be an awesome, versatile piece for any defense, and I would love to have him on this defense with Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, the havoc that you could create with those two players is absurd, but I have him as a no for a pure edge player. The next no is Jack Sawyer. This one's pretty obvious, 6'4", 260, so he's fine in height and weight regards. But man, he has T-Rex arms, 31.75-inch arms. I honestly couldn't find the last edge that the Packers have drafted with those short of arms. So to me, it's almost an instant no for Jack Sawyer. The next no on this list is Josiah Stewart from Michigan, also very short, 6'1", 249, and also very short arms, slightly longer than Jack Sawyer's, but also T-Rex arms at 31.9 inches. So just based off like height, weight, and arm length, you can write them as a no for a Packers threshold fit. Ashton Gillott, we have here 6'3", 264, so he has the weight, doesn't quite have the height. Also very short arms, shorter than Josiah Stewart's, right in the middle of Stewart and Jack Sawyer there, 31.8 inch arms. Does have a good vertical at 36.5, but that's the only redeeming quality there in terms of a Packers threshold fit. Then we have David Walker from Central Arkansas. He's been flying up boards due to the production, but, playing against lower competition there. And man, he is, I think, the shortest edge in this entire list. 6 foot 263. Good RAS though, which is telling, because if you don't have the size and you're 6 foot 263, that's going to usually tank your RAS a decent bit. The fact that he still has an 8.55 is impressive, but very short arms because, he's 6 foot, 31.8 inch arms, an okay vertical at 35, and a good shuttle there. The next no is Ja Joyner from Minnesota. Good height and weight. Not a great RAS. Does have 34 inch arms, but the vertical and the shuttle are pretty abysmal. So if one of those were good, where it's like a 36 inch vertical or a 4.35 shuttle where the Packers like, then I'd probably put him as a maybe. But the fact that the RAS, the vertical, and the shuttle are all below what they usually like, I have him as a no. Then we have Antoine Powell-Ryland, APR. I like him as a player. 6'3", 258, slightly short, but has the weight. Good RAS, a good athlete. But again, very short arms, under 32 inches. Like if this was 33.5, I'd put him as a maybe because it's close enough because he's an athlete. He's just about there in height and weight, or height, should I say, and a great vertical. Next, we have Baron Sorrell from Texas, 6'3", 256, slightly shorter than they like. Great athlete. Not short arms, but shorter than they like, 32.25 inches, 34-inch vertical, and a good shuttle. You could possibly change this one to maybe, but I have it as a no. Kymon Rucker from North Carolina, very short edge, 6'1", 254, shorter arms, 32.6, and didn't test other than that, so I have him as a no. Now to hammer off some no's here. Ahmed Hassanin, someone I like in this draft class a lot, 6'2", 267, just a bit short there, and shorter arms, 32.25, not a great vertical, not a great RAS. I think he's the type of player that's, not a terrific athlete by any means, but he's going to go out there and be, very solid rotational edge rusher for some NFL team. Colin Oliver from Oklahoma State, I have as a no. He's too short, he's too light, and I think actually has the shortest arms on this entire list. 30.75. That's crazy. Ethan Downs, Oklahoma. Good height and weight, good RAS, very short arms, not a great shuttle, not a great vertical. Steve Linton from Baylor. Good height, little too light there, not a great RAS. Does have longer arms, does have a decent vertical. So you could maybe change Steve Linton to a maybe, but I have him as a no because everything other than arm length is not usually within their thresholds. J.J. Weaver from Kentucky, good height and weight, but poor athlete. Does have close arms, 33.4, but poor vertical and a very poor shuttle. Chaz Chambliss from Georgia, short and light, an okay athlete, very short arms at 31.4 inches. Elijah Ponder from Penn State, short, but has the weight there. Didn't test, short arms, that's a Packers no. Sean Martin from West Virginia, has height and weight, okay athlete, does have very long arms, but his vertical is pretty abysmal, and his shuttle's pretty bad as well. Now, you could put this to maybe, but I still have it as a no. And then the final player, Aaron Lewis from Rutgers, good height and weight, I think the worst RAS on this list, but has long arms, 34.4 inches, but a very, very poor vertical and very, very poor shuttle, so I have him as a no. All right, so now let's go over the pure yeses of Packers threshold fits on this list. First is Shamar Stewart, and he's probably the most Packers threshold fit on this entire list, probably on the entire defensive side of the ball in this draft class. 6'5", 267, still 21 years old, a 10.0 RAS, 34.1 inch arms, a 40-inch vertical, so I have him as a yes plus, and he met a top 30 visit with the Packers. I know a lot of people don't like Shamar Stewart, but if he's there at 23, the Packers are going to select him. I just don't think he'll be there at 23. I like him as a player. I think when you watch the tape, it's not all about, box score production. When you look at the scheme of Texas A&M and what he was tasked with on early downs to contain, stop the run, that sort of thing. So I really like Shamar Stewart. I know a lot of people don't, though. Michael Williams is the next pure yes, 6'5", 260, a young Georgia defender with long arms. I went over this in yesterday's video in the CBS mock draft by Pete Prisco. I mean, this is the prototypical typical Brian Gutekunst defensive draft pick. Georgia, young, long arms, athlete, not a ton of production. So yeah, he's a Packers threshold fit as much as you may not like it. JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State, ton of production last year. And we'll go over all the guys with production, without production, all of that right after we finish this list. 6'4", 265, didn't test, but has very, very close to 34-inch arms. So I have him as a yes, because I believe if he did test, he'd have a good RAS, vert, and shuttle. Braden Swinson from LSU, good height and weight, didn't test, but again, very, very close to 34-inch arms. Again, I'm leaving a little bit of wiggle room here. If it's like 33.45 and up, and they have other good testing metrics like height and weight and shuttle for Braden Swinson's matter here, I'm putting him as a yes here. Jordan Birch from Oregon, another guy that just really feels like a Packers edge player. 6'4", 279, 33-inch arms. I have him as a yes. I think he had like 21 miles an hour in a game. I'm sure I've said that plenty on this channel. This guy has a ton of athleticism, so if he did test, I believe he'd be a very high RAS for his height and weight. Kyle Kennard from South Carolina, good height and weight, good RAS, 8.48, 34-inch arms. He's a yes for the Packers. Then we have Jared Ivey from Ole Miss. Great height and weight, 6'6", 274, 33.5-inch arms. Now, we don't have any other testing metrics, but I believe just based on that and that, he's a yes, right? The next yes and the last yes, again, there's not many on this list. We'll go over the maybes right after, but it's Tyrion Ingram Dawkins from Georgia, 6'5", 276, also great height and weight. Great athlete, 9.04. Arm length near 34 inches. Great vertical, great shuttle. He is definitely a Packers fit. Now to quickly run over the maybes, we have James Pierce Jr. He's one I've been kind of flip-flopping on if the Packers would be interested in. Now, I'm not taking into consideration the character concerns, and if he falls all the way to 23, the Packers aren't going to be the team to end that trend. I can almost guarantee that. But in terms of the player himself, 6'5", 245, so slightly underweight, but a great athlete. His arms are under 33 inches. He doesn't have a great vertical, but I'm going to put him as a maybe. The Packers had a top 30 visit with him, which again doesn't mean everything, but I think I'm going to put him as a maybe due to the athletic profile and his height and weight being so close there. But the arms are definitely a concern with the vertical. I think these two together could rule him out, but I'm going to put him as a maybe just because I truly think he could be on their board. Donovan Ezeraku, a lot of people want him in the first round, but really short and under the weight threshold there, 6'2", 248, but he's a good athlete and has 34-inch arms. So the Packers may overlook the 6'2" because he has 34-inch arms, a great vertical, a great shuttle. So I almost wanted to put this to yes, but just because he's 6'2" and they like 6'4 plus, I put it as a maybe. Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, 6'3", 257, so slightly shorter, 33-inch arms, so a maybe. Landon Jackson from Arkansas, great height and weight, 6'6", 264, great athlete, close to 34-inch arms, great vertical, shuttle a little bit lower than you'd want here. I have as a maybe. Actually, now as I'm looking at this, I'm going to put Landon Jackson to a yes because height and weight, RAS, arms are very close to 34, good vertical. The only thing that's a little low is shuttle. So I'm going to put it to a yes for Landon Jackson. Princely Uman Mielen, slightly light, but by like 6 pounds, not a huge thing there. Good athlete, very, very close to 34-inch arms, good vert, and then an okay shuttle, so I have it as a maybe. The next two maybes are Femi Oladejo, shorter edge, 6'2", but does have close to 34-inch arms. We also have Elijah Roberts, who has great weight and height, 6'4", 285, and a good athletic profile to come with it, 8.07, close to 34-inch arms, but a poor vert, so I put him as a maybe there. Savion Jones from LSU, 6'5", 280, almost 34-inch arms, an okay vertical. I have him as a maybe. Tyler Barron from Miami. I feel like this guy is going to be a Green Bay Packer in the middle to late rounds. 6'5", 258, 9.32 RAS. The only thing that's kind of worrying me here is 33.1-inch arms. If it was like 33.7, I'd be like, I'd put him as a yes, but I put him as a maybe because 33.1, but good vertical as well. The next maybe is Fadil Diggs from Syracuse, 6'4", 257, 9.27 RAS. 33.4-inch arms, but a poor vertical, so I have him as a maybe because the arms aren't at 34 just yet there. Tyler Batty from BYU, 6'6", 271, good athlete, 8.69, 33.1-inch arms, okay vertical, an okay shuttle, so I'm as a maybe. Quay Robinson from Alabama, 6'4", 243, a little bit underweight there, but close to 34-inch arms, so I'm as a maybe. And then the final one, Johnny Walker Jr. from Missouri. I think I mocked him in a couple of my mock drafts. 6'3", 246, so very, very close there, and very, very close on the arm length at 33 inches, so I have him as a maybe. So here's a list of all the yeses and maybes. We'll just quickly run through the names. Shamar Stewart, Michael Williams, James Pierce Jr., Donovan Ezeraku, Nick Scorton, Landon Jackson, Princely Uman-Mielen, JT Tuimoloau, Braden Swinson, Jordan Birch, Kyle Kennard, Femi Oladejo, Elijah Roberts, Savion Jones, Jared Ivey, Tyler Barron, Fadil Diggs, Tyler Batty, Quay Robinson, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, and Johnny Walker Jr. Now I separated the 100% Packers threshold fits and the maybe fits, and we're going to take a look at production because this is important, right? When we look at edge players, a lot of Packers fans say, hey, we need a guy with production. We don't want another Lucas Van Ness, although I still have high hopes for him, and I think year 3 is going to be good for him. But here are the 100% fits and their production numbers. So we have their sack numbers in 2024, their pressure numbers in 2024, their pass rush win rate, and their run stop rate. So right off the bat, we know Shamar Stewart doesn't have a ton of production, 2 sacks. He does have a lot of pressures. He actually led Texas A&M in pressures with 39 and a pretty solid pass rush win rate at 12.4%. You'd want that a little bit higher, but it's not that bad, all things considered, and a decent run stop rate at 5.5%. Now, some of the other lower productions in terms of 100% fits, Michael Williams, we talked about that. 3 sacks, 20 pressures, 11.1 pass rush win rate, but a really good run stop rate. He should be one of the better run stuffing edges in this draft class, and that's why I think the Packers might target him because, that's kind of what we had in Preston Smith. We traded him away. I think Michael Williams would be a plug and play for that type of role. Another lower on production is Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, great athlete, right? Fits all the Packers thresholds, but not great production. 3 sacks, 18 pressures, the lowest pass rush win rate on the 100% yeses at 7.2, and an okay run stop rate at 6.1%. Now going over the top of the line production in the 100% fits is JT Tuimoloau, who had 11 sacks, 38 pressures, decent pass rush win rate, actually lower than Shamar Stewart's, if that means anything to you, 12.1%, and a good run stop rate, the highest on the list at 7.8%. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina, 10 sacks, also double-digit sacks there, 39 pressures, 13.10 pass rush win rate, but the second lowest run stop rate here at 3.8. Some of the other good productions, we have Braden Swinson and Jordan Birch, both with 9 sacks each, but Swinson actually has 58 total pressures, where Jordan Birch has 28, and Swinson has the highest pass rush win rate on this list at 22.1%, 5.8 run stop rate, but Jordan Birch also has a good pass rush win rate at 15.7%, but a very poor, the lowest on the list, run stop rate at 2.9%. Finally, Jared Ivey, 8 sacks, 34 pressures, very high pass rush win rate at 16.8%, and a decent run stop rate at 6.6%. Now going over the maybe fits in the same metrics, so 2024 sacks, pressures, pass rush win rate, and run stop rate. Let's go over some of the poor production here. We have Tyler Batty from BYU, 2 sacks, 37 pressures, decent pass rush win rate, good run stop rate. We also have Quay Robinson from Alabama, 3 sacks, 19 pressures, but a very, very high, actually the highest out of all the fits at 24% pass rush win rate and a good run stop rate at 8.1%. So that's why sometimes you can't just look at box score and just go, hey, 3 sacks, 19 pressures, man, he can't get after. I mean, he had a 24% pass rush win rate, and that's something definitely to note here. Some of the highest productions here. Donovan Ezeraku, the highest production on this entire list. 14 sacks, 60 pressures, 18.2 pass rush win rate, and tied for the highest run stop rate at 10.1%. Princely Uman-Mielen, 11 sacks, 48 pressures, 22.8 pass rush win rate, great run stop rate, 8.6. Man, if the Packers can end up with one of Ezeraku or Uman-Mielen, you get an instant guy, plug and play, had a ton of production, can stop the run as well. We also have Tyler Barron. He, like I said, I think he's going to be a Green Bay Packer. 10 sacks, 45 pressures, 18.7 pass rush win rate, and a 9.0 run stop rate. In terms of the good productions, James Pierce Jr., 8 sacks, 55 pressures, tremendous pass rush win rate, tremendous run stop rate. We also have Landon Jackson, 7 sacks, 35 pressures, pretty good pass rush win rate, really good run stop rate. We have Femi Oladejo, 7 sacks, 33 pressures, okay pass rush win rate, good run stop rate. Fadil Diggs, 8 sacks, 42 pressures, really good pass rush win rate, but the poorest run stop rate on the maybe fits here. Johnny Walker Jr., 8 sacks, 42 pressures, 15.4 pass rush win rate, and a lower 5.6 run stop rate. And the in-betweens, Nick Scorton, 4 sacks, 36 pressures, good pass rush win rate, good run stop rate. Elijah Roberts, low sack number, but ton of pressures, 54, with a very, very good pass rush win rate at 22.4%, good run stop rate. And then finally, Savion Jones, 5 sacks, 41 pressures, good good pass rush win rate, and good run stop rate. Okay, so I know that's a lot of numbers, a lot of percentages and all that. It might be a lot to take in at first, but now I'm going to kind of make it a little bit easier and a little bit more presentable in terms of these lists. So first, we're going to go over edges you can take off your Packers board due to shorter, smaller arms, low weight, low RAS, and they are as follows: Jack Sawyer, Josiah Stewart, Aston Gillott, David Walker, Jaw Joyner, Kymon Rucker, Colin Oliver, Ethan Downs, JJ Weaver, and Chaz Chambliss. Then we can take a look at Packers yes/maybe fit. So either if they were a yes or a maybe for the Packers thresholds with good pass rush production, meaning 7+ sacks, and a 12% plus pass rush win rate. That's JT Tuimoloau, James Pierce Jr., Donovan Ezeraku, Princely Umanmielen, Braden Swinson, Jordan Birch, Kyle Kennard, Jared Ivey, Tyler Barron, Fadil Diggs, Johnny Walker. Then we have the yes/maybe fits with a good run stop rate, and that means 7% or greater. Michael Williams, JT Tuimoloau, James Pierce Jr., Ezeraku, Scorton, Landon Jackson, Umanmielen, Ola Dejo, Elijah Roberts, Savion Jones, Tyler Barron, Tyler Batty, and Quay Robinson. Finally, threshold edge candidates for the Packers with a good pass rush production and can stop the run. There are 4. That's James Pierce Jr., Donovan Ezeraku, Princely Umanmielen, and Tyler Barron. And remember, I put James Pierce Jr. I kind of snuck him on that list there, even though he didn't have a ton of matches there for the threshold fit, but I figured, hey, he could be a maybe for the Packers board. So that's 4 players. And noted, all 4 are almost Packers threshold fits. None of these guys are 100% threshold fits. Pierce is too light, bad vertical, shorter arms. Ezeraku, too short, too light. Umanmielen's too light, bad shuttle, shorter arms. And Tyler Barron, shorter arms. So none of these 4 actually are 100% Packers threshold fits, but I think still would be on their board. And the fact that they have good pass production and can stop the run make them good candidates. So that does it for my list of potential Packers edge rushers in the upcoming 2025 NFL draft. Again, this took a while to compile, so I'd really appreciate it if you guys were able to leave a like down below. And if you like this sort of video and you want to stick around for more Packers content like this, again, I'd highly suggest going down and clicking subscribe. Out of the entire list, which one are you most shocked that is not on the Packers threshold fits, or is someone that you really wanted the Packers to draft, but after this video, you're going, damn, it doesn't seem all that likely? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, which edge player do you want the Packers to draft? A reminder to go check out BetUS TV. I linked their YouTube down in the description below for more sports content. But I really appreciate you guys coming by. Also, let me know what position to do next. I'm thinking either cornerback or defensive line or interior offensive line or offensive tackle, one of those 4 positions. Let me know which one to do next. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.